How you guys doing? Today I wanted to talk about Call of Duty. I wanted to mention that Call of Duty seems like it's kind of been going off the rails a little bit, even though it is returning to true form with the most recent games that we've seen. Modern Warfare 2019 and Black Ops Cold War are two returns to the series' most popular iterations. Modern Warfare 3 and Black Ops 1 were the two highest selling Call of Duties of all time, and they also might be the two most widely accepted and widely appreciated Call of Duties. That being said, despite the fact that they have returned to this formula, they added a couple of different variables to it that I don't think bode well and I don't think mesh well with Call of Duty and the design philosophy of the game. Call of Duty has been a very mainstream title for a little bit now. Since its inception in 2003, Call of Duty has been fairly prominent in terms of popularity, and we've seen that as the constant up until the point where it became Jetpack Joyride but with a gun. The Call of Duty developers seem to have realized that people didn't exactly appreciate how much of a deviation those games were, and now we're seeing Call of Duty come back into its own with games that were more reminiscent of when it was at its peak. Despite this return to glory, so to speak, I think Call of Duty still has some issues that are plaguing it. Some new, some that have always been around that are just more noticeable now. Obviously, out of the way, right off the bat, I want to talk about how skill-based matchmaking has kind of been a really divisive topic in the Call of Duty sphere. From what I've personally gathered, most people seem to be on the same page about skill-based matchmaking. Most people seem to agree that it isn't exactly the favorable way to go with the franchise. People have said that it helps with player retention. I don't know how much I agree with that. I can tell you from personal experience, I think it is so much stronger in Cold War, and I can tell you that I've played Cold War the least out of any Call of Duty game that I've ever played. I'll literally hop on Cold War, I'll play a handful of games because I'll try to rank up a gun that's in Cold War because God forbid any of the Modern Warfare guns were reusable anymore, and I'll get about 3 games in, and then the algorithm kind of just takes over, and I get a couple of good games, maybe 1 or 2, and then immediately following those 2 good games, I get floored for the entirety of the night. No matter how hard I try, I just can't get out of spawn camps, I can't get out of hackers' line of sight, I can't get out of my spawn without getting shot through 15 walls with a bolt-action rifle, or running into some famous streamer who just happens to be playing later at night. It's not really a rewarding experience, and I don't feel like me as a person am growing from it. I feel like I'm just getting waffle stomped into the floor, and I feel like it's a punishment because I've done too well the last couple of games. Which I think kind of goes against the design philosophy of Call of Duty, which has always been kind of the mainstream, casual, popular game to play with a couple of friends while you shoot the shit. Now, I just feel like Call of Duty is something that you get locked into, you play it for a few hours, you and your friends try as hard as you can, and maybe you win a couple of games, maybe you don't. But I can also tell you that from my experience in the last couple of years of playing Call of Duty games with skill-based matchmaking, me and my friends, whenever we play, we don't really have a conversation. We just happen to be playing the same game, and we kind of give call-outs once in a blue when it's relevant or pertinent, and then we go back to the action, and then it's silence for a couple of minutes. There's not a lot of banter that goes on like it used to go on in the old lobbies in Modern Warfare or COD 4. Maybe it's because we didn't care as much. Maybe it's because we're all beaten down so much at the existential dread of being in our young adult life where we're supposed to be going out and doing big things, and we're just playing a video game trying to recapture the essence of joy that we had when we first turned on a Nintendo GameCube or a PlayStation. Maybe that's what we're trying to relive, and maybe it's not working, and that could be the reason why it's so stressful. Or it could be the fact that there's a measure in place that specifically will gatekeep you and bottleneck you if you start doing too good. Now, obviously, skill-based matchmaking bad, that's not really a hot take, that's not really a new addition to the conversation, and I think most people will agree that that is kind of the case. But another thing that we've seen with Call of Duty is that everybody wants to watch pro streamers and pro gamers play the game, and when they do, you kind of pick up on their habits. This was kind of something that we used to see way back in the day, where everybody would have FaZe in their clan tag, and they would be trying to quickscope. But the thing about quickscoping is that when you're bad at it, you're just bad. Whereas head glitching, slide canceling, drop shotting, bunny hopping, when you're bad at it, at the very least, you're still dodging bullets. So I think we've seen the new meta become more try-hard and more sweat-oriented, which I do think is negatively affecting the game in higher skill brackets. Obviously, you're not going to be seeing these in lower-level lobbies, which is why most people try to game the system to get into those lobbies. Which kind of circles back to the whole SBMM bad. I know. I beat the horse. I beat the dead horse. I get it. That being said, Battlefield has mentioned that they are going to have some measure of skill-based matchmaking, but I hope it's a lot lower, and they said it was going to be better on paper. I've read a couple of articles, and I've been looking it up. If you literally just Google Battlefield 2042 SBMM, you'll see these articles that I'm talking about. They are saying that there is going to be a measure in place similar to the SBMM that's in Call of Duty, albeit not as strong. Now, I think Battlefield is also coming into its own and recapturing its glory days the same way that we've seen Call of Duty try to do so with Modern Warfare 2019 and Black Ops Cold War. Battlefield, I think, was at its peak in Battlefield 3 and Battlefield 4. And I think Battlefield sees this opportunity to come in because there's a lot of discord and a lot of dissidence in the Call of Duty sphere. You're seeing a lot of people who have very different opinions on how they think the game should be done, and you're seeing a lot of people who are taking issue with a lot of stuff in the game, like the rampance of cheaters, or any of those issues that I mentioned in the whole Cold War rant section. That being said, I'm really hoping that Battlefield 2042 continues on the philosophy of listening to what they think people might want to see, and they continue with it. Could be argued that Call of Duty, for a good amount of time, was really dropping the ball with listening to its fans, and I don't even think it's a strong argument that you'd have to make. I think from the inception of Warzone, it was kind of well done, but it seemed like it wasn't really all that well put together. Then as people started to exploit and they started to learn how to cut corners in the game, you saw a lot more of these issues come to light. Anybody who played Warzone at the release of it will know exactly what I'm talking about. Lobbies were so much different. Everybody was afraid to go somewhere. Nobody was really sprinting around, kicking down doors, bunny hopping around corners, or camping in dark corners with a rose skin. Whereas now, a majority of the lobbies that I run into are rose skins. Maybe it's just because I'm so good at the game, and maybe you should watch more of my gameplays and streams. Or maybe it's just an oversaturated thing where everybody's using a rose skin now, or a dark colored skin like the new Wraith skin as well. So we've definitely see Warzone get into this kind of debacle or limbo where everybody does seem to be trying really, really hard to cut corners and be as efficient as possible, which is normal for any game. You do see towards every game's end of its life cycle or just later on in the life cycle, everybody is playing the game more efficiently and methodically because those are the people who have stuck with it and they have learned the mechanics and they are striving to do better and improve. That being said, I think one of the biggest things has been the negligence of addressing these issues. Obviously, you've seen a bunch of stuff like certain attachments doing certain things that maybe they shouldn't have done. Originally, this was something like stopping power in the Uzi would originally reduce its recoil, which as far as I'm aware, this is still a thing that's present in the game. So you're doing more damage and you're having less recoil. Obviously, that's not an intended feature. They just never got around to fix it. We've seen things like meta weapons become meta and stay meta for, I think, months. The DMR was a really bad example of it, where the DMR was rampant for like, I think, a couple of months. And they even accidentally buffed it because they were supposed to increase the recoil, but they reduced the recoil. And then they also tweaked some really minor thing. The DMR had to get nerfed 3 times because they were just so tone deaf with balancing the game. I will say credit where it's due, Season 2 of Cold War really seemed to turn around, and I think they're really doing their best at Raven to balance. But I will also say, where were you for the last several months? I'm hoping that the people at DICE are noticing and taking note of the whole thing that's going on with Warzone. Now, eventually, yes, they are keeping track of it, but I don't think a game should be around for an entire year before they start to actually get a legitimate team behind them to maintain the game and balance it properly. And I'm hoping the people at DICE agree, and I'm hoping that they do that. Battlefield 2042 has debuted 2 game modes. There's All-Out Warfare, which is basically just the standard Battlefield multiplayer mindset. Things like Conquest and Breakthrough are going to be in that. Then they also were talking about Hazard Zone, which they were a little bit vague on, but it's supposed to be this high-stakes, squad-based game mode. And it's something that has been mentioned to have been different from any game mode ever seen in multiplayer. They have also gone and explicitly stated that it is not going to be a Battle Royale. Now, there is a 3rd game mode that's supposed to be debuted on July 22nd. If I had to bet, I think that probably is going to be a Battle Royale. I don't think the Battle Royale fad has phased at all, and I think that it's definitely very prominent still. Now, to me, it looks like Battlefield 2042 is a little bit of a fan service kind of title, where they've listened to people and they've said, okay, you guys want to go to a little bit more of a modern setting, that's fine. I'm hoping that their willingness to listen to the fan base and balance and do everything the right way continues with the design philosophy of balance and keeping the game reasonable, because we have seen Warzone really spiral out of control, and rather than put the fires out when they were small, they kind of let the fires get really big, and now they have to do a massive anti-cheat campaign. And by anti-cheat, I don't mean putting in an anti-cheat software, they're just specifically targeting people who are cheating. Now, Call of Duty has stated that they do have an anti-cheat software in place, but there's also been a lot of people who have stated they've been unfairly banned. To me, if you have an anti-cheat software in effect, you shouldn't be seeing nearly as many hackers as you are, and also there shouldn't have to be the presence of a manual review, manual report cheat software, where if I do get killed by somebody, I have to pray that the kill cam doesn't bug out or glitch out. so that I can actually get access to that person in the kill cam, and I can go in and manually report them for cheating or exploiting or whatever I think that they did bad. This leaves a lot of room for interpretation, and if somebody does have kind of a suspicious kill cam, but maybe they just got lucky, maybe they did hit a really lucky wallbang, I just report anyway. Literally, if I see a kill cam, I report, because I don't even want to try to play the, oh, well, let me see this. Yes, after looking at this kill cam, I have decided this was somebody who was cheating. There's like give or take 10 seconds in every kill cam. So for you to watch the kill cam in its entirety and then have the reflexes to still hit the report button following it, it just doesn't seem practical. And I think as a company, if you're unwilling to put in an anti-cheat and you have to manually review everything, alright buddy, here you go. Here's all the fucking kill cams that I get. But that's even factoring that you get to see all the kill cams. There's a lot of kill cams where I immediately get lasered and I don't even get a kill cam. So I am really hoping that the people at DICE have been monitoring the whole situation with Call of Duty, and I'm hoping that they can take some pointers and take some notes out of the situation and hopefully improve their own game. Don't get me wrong, I really hope that Warzone improves as well. I don't think it's in the worst state that it's ever been in. I think it's getting better, but I still think there are a lot of situations where I get lasered by somebody in a really suspicious way. I've seen it a little bit too often where I'm watching somebody who kills me in a really, really ridiculous way, and they have like 30-something kills, and they have 15 people watching, and they're just locking onto people across the map through the walls. That being said, I know this video was overwhelmingly negative, and it was more of a rant video than anything. It was semi-cohesive, but it wasn't exactly as organized as I had originally intended for it to be. I do hope that both franchises do the absolute best that they can. I would love to just sit down in October and have the option to play Warzone or Battlefield or whatever the new Call of Duty is and enjoy all of the experiences. But from my experience, I don't know that that's going to be the case. I do think that Call of Duty is going to continue along the line of strict skill-based matchmaking and manipulating people through whatever algorithms they can to engage player retention the most and have people spend the most money possible on microtransactions inside of a game that they might have already bought. As it stands right now, I'm not really too interested in getting the next Call of Duty. From what I've seen, the next Call of Duty looks like it's going to be a World War II game, which as cool as that seems, it's just not my thing. If they are also going to go the way that they seem like they're going, where they delete the previous map and then they rehash a new one to make it relevant or pertinent to the new Call of Duty, I'm not exactly super enthralled with the idea of like a Pacific battlefield for the new Battle Royale. Yeah, it would be a change, but it just seems like they're going to go with a really open map. I don't know, obviously we'll see how it goes when it comes out, but I'm not super interested as it currently sits. And hopefully Battlefield comes out with a really good Battle Royale. Hopefully Call of Duty does turn it around. I really hope they start listening to people, and I hope it does well, because I do enjoy playing it. It's probably going to wrap it up though for this video. I appreciate you watching. If you're hearing this, you've made it to the end, and I appreciate you watching it through its entirety. I'm not even going to slam you with all the stereotypical YouTuber shit where I tell you to like, comment, subscribe, do this, become a member, turn on the bell notification, do whatever the hell. But what I will tell you to do is you have a good day, alright?